All right, hey everybody, TG here. Well, of course, I get my voice coming back at me. Let's turn that thing off. All right, so today is the last day before Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is the big day. Hope everybody's going to have a good time out there for anybody who celebrates. And for those of you who are in the market, just remember the market day is going to be closed. Thank you, Amir and Mirza. Looks like we are good to go. And hopefully, we're also good to go over on Facebook, YouTube, and all the other social media platforms that we have broadcasting out there. And then also remember, Friday is going to be I don't call it a half day, but basically it's a couple hours short. So just remember that. Now, typically, today is kind of a slow day. Friday tends to be a slow day. People today are just going to be leaving their desks early as far as trading goes. Volume should be down a little bit. And you usually expect same thing Friday. People kind of got that turkey hangover. They don't want to wake up too early and really get going. However, there are some surprises. I remember, I think, what was it during COVID that we actually saw a pretty big down day on Friday after Thanksgiving. So just be aware there could be anything that happens, but I would tend to lean towards it should be fine, it should be chill. So that being said, we do have just two and a half more days left of our Black Friday sale. Make sure you guys get that if you're interested. BFS 23, Black Friday sale 23. I am one of those out there. If you guys are looking to pick up the indicator, now is a great time. We also have quite a few new people in the Moxie trading room, so I'm sure we're probably running a sale on that one too. And it's great to see those new faces, especially some of them from Orlando when we were out at the Money Show. Speaking of that, the presentation that I had at the Money Show was pretty much spot on. I was saying that I was showing a lot of different things that had like 5 or 6 different reasons that the market was likely to really pop to the upside at some point, and I thought it was getting pretty close. And sure enough, about 3 days after the Money Show, boom, this is what happened. And so, yeah, we have a really, really, really big move to the upside. You can see that the S&P has almost gotten to its previous high, basically at this point still a double top area. It is really, really far outside of the third ATR and gapping off the 8 EMA. 8 EMA. This is a big, big move, which is probably why the market is up today. Because going into Thanksgiving with a holiday, people are like, look, we've got short squeeze after short squeeze after short squeeze. This thing is big and bullish, and nobody wants to be fighting that. And so they're just going to let things go the way that they want to go as far as carrying that momentum going into the holiday. So let's all feel good about what's happening and for the holiday. Thanksgiving, thanks for the market, that kind of situation. But then, how much you want to bet they're going to choose to finally drop the market after the holiday? It's kind of the same thing with 4th of July. 4th of July, kind of like a rah, rah, let's go America type situation. We get a run up into the 4th of July. And then typically after 4th of July, there's a bit of a pullback once the sugar rush has come off. Let's see. Nice. Moxie Trader. Love it. How about if I don't use Thinkorswim platform, can I apply your indicator to any other platforms? Yes, we have it on stockcharts.com, and we also have it on TradingView. So yeah, we make sure that we've got a few of our bases covered. Those are both internet-based platforms. So if you don't use Thinkorswim, we got you covered. StockCharts is a huge platform. A lot of people love that one. And then TradingView is even bigger. So both of them are available there if you need. All right, so let's see. Kind of the other thing, obviously the market is up. It's just been pushing up. We are getting pretty frothy, at least as the indexes go. Like this is kind of a red area. Hey, it's great. I love that it's up like this, but it's getting a little long in the tooth, right? A little bit long in the tooth, and it's just kind of getting up into this area, especially on the daily chart. You're like, oof, we need to pull back at some point. It may not be too bad. It could just kind of be a flag and a pullback, but man, something's going to have to happen at some point. Let me show you NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA had earnings, so of course that's the trigger. But if it was not for earnings, this looks very, very much like a pretty good technical setup. This is what I'm talking about when I say we should expect a pullback or some sort of flag. If you look at NVIDIA, first off, it got up here, pretty extended up to this outer marker areas. And then we could see that price came down to the 50, kind of ran up the 50, and then broke the 50. And what we could see is on the 15-minute time frame, and this is what I was talking about to the Simpler Trading subscribers over the week, was that notice that the Moxie indicator on the 15-minute time frame was not looking great on the 15-minute time frame. And I think I'll go back to the S&P. The S&P is looking very similar. So if you guys want to take a mental screenshot or just kind of look at this, NVIDIA really looks like what the S&P and probably what the NASDAQ looks like. I'll go look at those. But notice how the Moxie indicator was spread below zero. And same thing here, you could see it was below zero, and then price just couldn't quite stay over the 15-minute 50. So yes, it happened because of earnings, but really this looks like a picture perfect technical setup as far as needing a pullback. It got up to extended. It even hit resistance here, 500 bucks, and that was kind of a round numberitis, as one of my trading mentors would call it. So let me go back and we can look at the SPY, and you can kind of see the same thing. Let me zoom in real close here. Notice how here the 15-minute Moxie indicator is staying below zero. So I'm looking at that and saying, yeah, it's kind of an issue at some point. And you combine that with the fact that we are so high up here on the daily chart, and it's just telling me that I would not be surprised, and actually I should be expecting that the market is going to be pulling back in a similar way to NVIDIA. Now let's go take a look at the NASDAQ, and then brighter side will take a look at you in just a second. Yeah, so I was kind of referring to that again, same thing. It looks very similar. Box indicators here. Nothing yet on the hourly chart, mostly just a price structure standpoint, and then especially on the daily, just way up there. The other thing I was kind of saying is that whether this is a stock or an index, you got to think about playing a game of whack-a-mole. When you come up, especially coming up from the lows all the way to the highs like that, and that also incorporates a double top, you got to think, do you want to be the first one to raise your head above there and buy new highs? I don't think that's wise. I don't think that is really a great place. So again, do you want to play a game of whack-a-mole right there at the new highs and say, yes, I volunteer and I'm going to buy new highs right here, right now, especially after it ran almost straight up for a little over 2 weeks. It's just not the best place. So let's wait for price to pull back, find some support, try it again, recoup, refresh, take a water break, something like that, and then get it going. But that's kind of the way I view it and look at that. And then if we take a look at SOXX, since we're seeing some weakness with NVIDIA, then we should be seeing a little bit more weakness with the semis, and in fact we do. So you can see with this, with the semis, we do actually have price underneath the 15-minute 50, whereas the S&P and the NASDAQ, we don't. So we are starting to see that pullback, I believe, in the semis first, and then and you can even see that really clearly here on the 15-minute Moxie indicators. And again, everything is just super extended on the daily time frame. All right, brighter side, good morning. Let's see. Yeah, they definitely giving a turkey rally, of course. Yep. And you're looking at Lyft, LYFT. I know we talked about this one before. All right, so Lyft. Yeah, we talked about this before, and what I wanted to say about that was one of my mentors, Sue, always said they travel in packs and they bring their friends. So you kind of think, what's the opposite of that? Well, if a sector is moving, or if a couple stocks that are in the same sector kind of do the same thing, are moving, and only one is moving, or maybe a couple of them are moving and one's not, you don't want to pick up the one that's not, because there's probably a reason that it's not doing well. So if we look at Lyft versus Uber, vast difference. So I don't think you want to go after Lyft. It is probably unlikely that Lyft is going to suddenly play catch up. Now, of course, it could, but I don't think that is what the market is saying. And if you look at something like Lyft versus Uber, tell me which one you'd rather be trading. Which one would you rather own? So that's why I would look at this and say, look at the difference. There's definitely something going on between the two of them. The market is speaking, and it would be wise to not ignore it. And if you want to trade one of these things, I would be trading Uber, not Lyft. So that's my first thing on that. And then let's see, MVIS, Microvision, possibly. Yeah, let's kind of take a look at the higher time frame here. Again, it's a little bit lackluster. Yes, it had a big whatever that was, and we're back down. Now I'm concerned that it's come all the way back down to its lows, especially after a big move like this. Now I know we could be looking at like a 50-250 on a weekly time frame, and so a pullback would be normal, but this seems a little excessive. So my first thought is to just be careful because I don't know what's happening with this thing and why that's doing it. Um, yeah, and it's so, if you're looking at it's basically a $3 stock and 1.8 million shares per day. It's a little on the low side for this small of a stock, just to kind of put that out there. I see what you're seeing. Yes, it looks like it's starting to come up, and yes, it's starting to look like it's come up, and yes, it may work. So if you see this pattern and yeah, it's starting to develop, go for it, go with it. But I kind of feel like if you just take the whole thing together, there might be some red flags here, and there might be better stocks to go after. Yeah, and yeah, I'm still questioning Riot and Mara. Now, I did a deep dive in this in the Moxie room yesterday because we had our Moxie only session about this, and we also talked about GBTC, so just kind of showing the ETF for the Bitcoin. I think that GBTC should be starting to pull back. It looks very similar to this, and this there. So I think we should be seeing some sort of pullback, which makes me, again, a little bit hesitant about Mara and Riot. I agree with you. But the short the short answer of what we did there is I'm still keeping my eyes on them, and I want to see what happens after the Bitcoin pullback. All right, and then Billy, I'm not so sure about this one either. Yeah, I know. I've been looking at quite a few of the Chinese stocks. They're just not quite doing much. It's a possibility, but first of all, I got to wait till after earnings. So let's wait till after then. And I'm still hesitant about most Chinese stocks. There are some that are doing well, so we're trading them. But other than that, not doing too much. And YMM, kind of the same thing. Yeah, let's look at that. I don't know. Brighter side, I kind of see what you're looking at. These are where they begin. Sure, this is how good stocks start. Is that you see them on the weekly time frames, they stop going down, they start to kind of catch a little bit. But I'm also just a little bit hesitant with some of these names out here. I'm looking at Path. Path looks like it's trying to go. I want to wait till after earnings, but look how long these things have been going sideways, and that's the trouble. Is I can't exactly tell how much longer they're going to consolidate, or if they're just going to keep consolidating for the whole time and then not really do much. It's certainly challenging when a name just goes sideways to figure out if it's really going to wake up and go. So that's kind of where I'm at with some of these names. Is let's get something that looks a little bit more exciting and has the potential to go up and actually starting to go up. Like I'll just show you one of the ones that we are trading here. I think IonQ is looking a little bit better. It's at least in an uptrend. This has been a pullback right here. That's been a pullback because if you look at the moving averages, it's at least in an uptrend on the higher time frames, and there's a lot of volume. So that's what I'd be looking at. Make sure you kind of figure out if these things are at least in an uptrend. And honestly, if we look at Path, if we look at YMM, BILI, and we think, oh, we're going to miss something. Well, if you can see them here, you're not going to miss something. You'll know when these things start to perk up. Like they will communicate with you. And you know what? Even if you miss this, they tend to give you another opportunity sometime later. It might be months, but they give you another opportunity. And I think that's where we're seeing another opportunity right here on stocks like this. Yeah. And yeah, brighter side, if you really wanted to short the markets, you could do SQQQ or SPXS, sure. But I'm a little bit hesitant to do that. I tried that first when I thought the market was going to pull back, which I did get, but then the market only did it for one day, which is amazing. And you can see right here, so I was looking for this, and we got 1 day out of it. Just absolutely, that was it, 1 day. What I was expecting from the market back here, as far as a pullback, was something closer to this. The IWM actually did a really great pullback. That was fantastic. How about this, brighter side? If you're going to try to short the market or play the pullback, try to go for the sector that is the most likely to pull back when there's a pullback. That being said, don't go after the mega caps. The mega caps are probably the safest of the safe havens. They are clearly the ones that a lot of money has gone in and pushed up and led the market. You can see that when you look at the difference between the QQQ and the QQQE. But instead, go for something like the small caps, because you could see that the IWM actually pulled back when the QQQ just kept going up. So that's why there was a bit of a disconnect when I was looking for a pullback, and there was. It just was only in the IWM, not in the QQQ and stuff like that. And of course, the SPY is kind of somewhere in the middle. So yeah, I'm not sure I would be trying to short this. I think that there's going to be a move to the downside, but it's probably not going to be the easiest of moves. Because again, if you go back and look at the IWM, you could say, well, here was a pullback, sure. And you know what? Again, it lasted for 1 day and then what? Sideways. So that's the other risk. That's why I try and say that I'm looking for a pullback or a flag, because you can see here that the IWM has just flagged. And so then you don't make any money unless you're trading options and you're selling calls and doing condors or something like that. But if you're trading stock and you're trying to get a pullback like that, it may not actually pull back. It might just go sideways. And that's why when I look at the SPY and the NASDAQ, yes, they are very overbought, but we don't exactly know how they are going to fix that overbought condition, because you can see if we go back here, there was another kind of overbought situation. What did it do? It really just went sideways. Yeah, there were a couple pullbacks, but if you look at the big picture, it was just sideways. So yeah, just be careful on that. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at over on that side and that area. And then some of the other names, let me kind of just do a quick little run around. I have been noticing that gold is starting to perk up a bit. And if we look at the higher time frames, we talked about this, gosh, I think last week. One of the option room subscribers asked me about it. And I said, here are the parameters that I see. And if gold is going to go up, this is what we needed to see. And so far, gold continues to hold the weekly 21, the weekly 50, the Moxie indicators above zero. We got a squeeze. Things are actually looking pretty good there. And then if we come over here on the 15, on the daily and the hourly, I see that price is pulled back to the daily 50, and even here pulled back to the hourly 50, and a little bit late, but we are getting a Moxie price trigger right now. So I'm even seeing that gold is starting to move up. Now the question is, can it break out of this? And is it going to do it right from here? Or is it going to kind of dip in one more time and then kind of go up? I always look at this, you think about physical traits. So it's coming up here. A lot of times they say you knock on the door once and then you open it the second time. So a lot of times when you come up here and you run into resistance, you don't just go straight through. A lot of times what you do is you kind of come up here. There's going to be some natural resistance because some sellers are going to be up there. And then you'll kind of come back down here. You'll build some momentum and some strength, and then you'll pop up like that the second time. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. And if that does, that means basically buy the dip on gold if it can continue to find support as it pulls back. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I know it's kind of a calm day here, last day before Thanksgiving. Remember, we do have our Black Friday sale running here at simplertrading.com/flash sale. SBSF There we go. I always want to say well, SBF. There, all those banks and we have a lot of little words, acronyms going on right now in our world out there, don't we? All right. Well, BFS 23, Black Friday sale 23. And remember, no market tomorrow. And we'll see a half day on Friday. Thanks again, everyone.